Another big story that we're all still reeling from, the entertainment industry itself still coming to terms with the news of the passing of Shaleen Surtie Richards. The actress died yesterday while in Cape Town to shoot episodes of a Kyknet telenovela that she was starring in. Her passing certainly robbing the country of a talented actor who first made her screen debut in 1984. Her career spanning over 4 decades on stage, the silver screen and on television. Let's continue to give you reaction now. Fellow actor Royston Stoffel joins us via our video link. And Royston, our condolences to you as well, as we all still come to terms with the shock of Shaleen Surtie Richards passing.
It's my yes.
Yeah, yeah.
My condolences to the family as well, and everybody who feels this loss of an amazing human being, somebody whom I know for over 4 decades.
And I mean, tell us about that journey, because even though both of you were in the entertainment industry, that's actually not the industry that you met in.
Yeah, we were both school teachers, and I, at the time in the 70s, I was the drama organizer of the Eon Group, and we partook in these annual drama festivals and competitions. And she was from Uppington, and she came down with a group, and we performed at the Joseph Stone and together with other groups. And I was introduced to her. I was absolutely impressed with what I saw on stage, and then I was introduced to her by another late friend of ours, Peter Voges, who said, "I would like you to meet Shaleen Surtie Richards from Uppington." And I remember sitting in the corridor at the Eon Group, and this bright and talented woman said, "Oh, het gaat lekker saamwerk, né?" And well, the rest is history. We partook in educational programs and went and toured around the country, going to high schools, performing a bit of Shakespeare, a bit of N.P. van Wyk, some poems, and then in the evening we would stay in the community, whether it was the Afrika, whatever. We toured the country together. So we really got to know each other as friends and colleagues. So, and one thing always fascinated me about Shaleen was everywhere we went, whether it was Zonnewater or Bloemfontein or anywhere, there'd always be people who know her. And because they all loved her, we were always received with such hospitality and wonderful respect. We were stars wherever we went. So that was in the early 80s we started that. As I say, we did many plays together at the Joseph Stone, Shakespeare's and Afrikaans and English. We eventually went to go and play them, our shows at the Space Theatre. And that was in 1980 when Shaleen said to me, "You know, it's taking up too much of the school time. She has to make a choice." By which time I had also given up my job as a teacher, and she loved it. We toured, and it was very difficult at the time because under apartheid we couldn't go to hotels. We stayed, and that brought us closer together because we would normally stay in the sick room of a school. Because there'd be a bed, a couple of beds, and that's where we stayed. So we got to know each other so well. And of course, we couldn't eat in restaurants. We couldn't stay at hotels. But we made the best of it. You know, we'd get together at the hostel and we'd buy our food together. We'd ask somebody whether they could cook for us. And yeah, what a journey.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, as the story goes, Shaleen actually blamed you for convincing her to leave the teaching profession. And just listening to you speak now, I can very clearly see how you could talk someone into or out of a profession.
No, I think it is both our pure enjoyment of what we were doing, because we played. In fact, I'm so pleased that I could share this last 2 weeks with her because I did a scene with her in Arden's play. We were all filming together, and so I say to myself, I give myself a self-assured pat to say, she went out with her boots on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we would, when I'd visit her, if I'd go to Johannesburg, she'd always say, no, you're not going to stay, Nathan, come and stay with me. And, yeah, and we talk about life. So we'd often, we often joke to each other about how, you know, maybe we'd had a drink or two, and then we'd get, and she'd say to me, you know, Royston, was it too fair gekom, dear Shaleen? And, you know, we'd often speculate. She'd often say to me, you know, who's going to talk at whose funeral? How's that, eh? She would say to me, no, you will say a few nice things about me. But, you know, one of the things I can always say about Shaleen was her honesty. Mm-hmm. Her honesty and a love for life. And every play she did, every play we did together, or wherever I've seen it, she invested, the character she played was all herself. She didn't ever take on another character. She let a character play through her. And I think that was where the honesty of and the love that she built up with the country, right to the president and presidents before. You know, people know her. So I'm very pleased. I'm very honored. Sad at the same time, but I know a wonderfully rich life. She eventually, their family eventually returned to Cape Town. They came to stay in Cape Town. And the mom and the dad stayed with Sharon and myself, and we stayed together until they found themselves a home and bought a home and eventually stayed in Cape Town. Of course, a big thing was when she had to leave Cape Town. She was very conflicted about that. But I think the offers of work, especially while we were on tour, we were touring in the mid-80s, and she got this phone call. Well, there were no cell phones then. Mm-hmm. And she got this call at a school we were at, and she was dumbfounded. She said, I've got to tell you something. I've just been offered filler in a big movie. They want me to play filler. And, you know, although we were sad to see her leave the group because she had to go and film, oh man, which is the right thing. And we were, when I talk about we had a special bond of actors. We toured together for many years. Mm. And that was June van Merch, Ivan Abrams, myself, Peter Butler, Basil Apollo. Yeah. Oh, what a team we were.
Yeah. What an incredible group of actors from that particular era of South African stage and television. I mean, you know, it sounds like you were there when she got the call for Phyllis Akint.
Yes.
You've recently filmed a scene for Arden's Flay as well. It does sound like you were there for all of, or at least many of the big moments in her career.
I even had a chance to play a boyfriend in Egoli.
Yes.
And I think she was asked, you know, who do you want to play? And in fact, she said to me, there's nobody else but Royston. And I was very pleased. We had a good month together. Speculation of whether Nena was going to get married or what.
And you know, having said that, Royston, you know, that you were so close throughout the past 4 decades, more than 4 decades, and also very recently, it must have come as a big shock to you when you heard of her passing. Just take us back to that moment when you first heard.
Yeah, man, over the last few years, especially after the death of her parents, whom she was very close to, and her mum died also a few years ago, and she'd often confide, and she's almost like the world has has swept the carpet under her feet. And she had problems with that.
Mm-hmm.
And her health started fading. I mean, I noticed. In fact, when we were here in Cape Town, she was slow. She had to be assisted walking. But the spirit and the energy was always there. And of course, the smoking. My word, she was a smoker. I remember in the 80s, we were doing Hello in Dubai, and she'd lost her voice, and our director said, "Shaleen, you moet ophou rook." But you couldn't. That was one thing she loved. As long as she had a cigarette in her mouth and was puffing away, she was happy, yeah.
So many memories to look back on. Royston Stoffel, thank you so much for joining us this morning as we all continue to mourn the loss of Shaleen Surtie Richards.
What a pleasure. But in mourning, we must celebrate, because I think she broke barriers. You know, it was a time when it was all white. And you came in there, you know, and, you know, you were an exception to the rule. She made the rules, my dear friend, Shaleen.
Yeah, absolutely. Royston, go well. Great to talk to you this morning on the AM Report.
Thank you, Michelle. Bye-bye.